Hey you guys, what's up? It's Jessica. Welcome to my channel. I wanted to come on here and do this cool intro, and I can't seem to make my brain cooperate because I keep stopping and starting. So I'm just gonna do it and post it, and we're gonna run with it. And if you guys stick with me, then hopefully these will get better as I go and not be as awkward. Like I said, my name is Jessica. I'm a woman in long-term recovery. I'm a certified peer recovery specialist. I'm also a trainer of Narcan. I'm, I'm in long-term recovery from a 14-year drug and opiate addiction. And I wanted to make this channel because I've always been very vocal about my recovery. My addiction, like most people's, was very self-centered. Move this over just a little bit. Y'all, sorry about the mess behind me. The better I get at this, the I'll do better at that crap behind me. But anyway, my addiction was very self-centered, as in I don't really pay attention to what addiction was doing in like a broad spectrum of things. I did see it affect other people's lives, not necessarily my addiction, but addiction in general. And I didn't really pay attention, or care. All I really cared about was getting high and making sure that I wasn't dope sick. And, that sounds horribly selfish, but it's very true. That's all I really cared about. And my main mission in life was to make sure that my daughter made it to adulthood, and then I didn't think that I would be needed or wanted on this earth anymore, so I didn't plan on being here. The very fact that I'm sitting here in my home, sober, in recovery, and living the life that I'm living today amazes me. Every morning that I wake up, it amazes me. I am a very, very grateful recovering addict. But we'll get into more of that later. But as I got more into recovery and kind of realized more about it, the more vocal I became about it. And I had to be very vocal about my recovery because I lived in a very small town, and my addiction was very consuming. And addiction is very consuming in anyone's life. But if you were in my life, if you came to my house, if you called me on my phone, if we texted, it was because you served a purpose in my life. It wasn't because we were friends. I had one friend that I did use with, but she was also, my friend before that. We're no longer friends. She's clean now, sober. I try not to use the word clean because I fucking hate that word. We're not dirty because we're drug addicts. We're not dirty. Whether you're in active addiction or in recovery, you're not dirty. And I hate that. So I apologize for using that, but it's been, it's very often used. So you hear it a lot. You hear people refer to addicts that are in recovery as clean, especially if you've spent any time at all in any 12-step programs. Oh, what's your clean date? How long have you been clean? Things like that. And my recovery did start in A. So sometimes I struggle with using it, but I'm working on it. Anyway, so I had to be very vocal about the fact that I wanted to stop using, and that I wanted it to be a permanent thing, and that it wasn't just something that I was trying for a little bit, that it wasn't just a passing fancy, if you will. I had to be very vocal about it because it was the only way that I could stop people from handing me drugs all the time. And I say that, and every time I tell this part of my story, people are like, bullshit. Does nobody just hand you drugs? Well, they did in my case, and not because I'm anything special or anything like that. That's just the way I had manipulated my situation to work, because um, I worked in a convenience store, and I always made sure that I worked more than one job. I was also a single mom, so I kind of didn't have a choice but to work more than one job. But people knew that, when they got their prescription filled, or, if they went out and got good and got a bunch of stuff, and they came and gave me stuff, that in a couple days when their stuff was gone and they needed gas, or they needed cigarettes, or they needed stuff to put in their kids' lunch, or they needed to stop by the store on the way to drop their kids off to school and their kid was hungry, that I would take care of them. So when I say that people would come and hand me drugs and that I had to be vocal about my recovery to get them to stop, that's what I mean. Because that's it, that was true. I had to, you know, I had to. It was the only way that I could put all of that behavior to a standstill. And even at that, it still didn't work completely. I still had certain people that would come in there and just would ask me, if I knew where anything was, or, tell me that they had something. And oh, I need cigarettes. Will you trade me? I know you're not using, but will you trade me, because you can sell it and get money? And, I personally do not have the ability to say no to something that is in my hand. Unfortunately, even at this point in my recovery, and I'm coming up on 3 years, I don't know that if someone put a pain pill in my hand and I was by myself, that I could say no. I would like to think that I would, but just being completely 100% honest, I don't know. If my dad or somebody was close, I know. If, Keith, my boyfriend, if somebody was close enough to me that I could walk over to them and be like, please take this from me, I know that I would. Because I've taken a medicine before. I suffer from migraines, and it was very triggering to me. And I gave it to Keith immediately. As soon as I realized what it was doing, I was honest with my dad and my mom and told them, that made me feel like I was high. I got really upset about it. But I would like to think that, but at that time, sorry, I went off on a little tangent there, but at that time, I didn't have the ability to do that. And I didn't really want to, if I'm being honest with you. If somebody at that time in my early sobriety would have handed me stuff, I would have just relapsed and just given up. And I really wouldn't have cared. So, that's that. Kind of makes me sad to think about it, because that's a very lonely place to be. And it was, because I did have all these people, and, a lot of people would come by to see me at my work. My daughter would, and we always joke around that I can't go anywhere in Christiansburg. That's the name of my hometown. I guess that really matters that I just said it on the internet, because there's only going to be a couple people watching this to begin with anyway. But, that I can't go out in my hometown because so many people know me, and that takes us forever to go grocery shopping because people want to stop and talk to me. And we would joke about it, but even at that, it was just so lonely, because, all those people just wanted something from me, or I was wanting something from them. If they didn't want me to do something for them, they wanted to sell me something because they need money, or, that's just the name of the game. That's how that game is played. So it's a very lonely existence to be in an active addiction. That's just, so it's kind of sad to think about. But Uh, sorry about that. I eventually had to quit that job, actually. And I just woke up one morning, and I just could not make myself get up and go to bed and fight that fight anymore. I couldn't do it. It's just so draining on me to constantly see people walk in the door and you know, each one of them that comes in that you've dealt with before, whether they're holding or not, and the days of the month, and it's just it's mentally draining on you. And at the time, I didn't have you know I didn't have a lot of time between me and my addiction. Hadn't been broken up for very long, not long enough to suit me. So I did eventually quit that job, and I was terrified as I'd been there for a long time, and I didn't know what I would do. And my boyfriend that I'm with now, he didn't miss a beat, but he rarely ever does when I do, sudden things like that. Because I literally just woke up one morning, and I turned my alarm off, and I just laid back down, and I normally got up before him because it's a convenience store, and I opened it, and I just laid back down. And, his alarm went off. When his alarm went off, he said, so are we not doing and he said the name of the store thing anymore? And I said no. And he had to leave and go out of town that day for his job, and he didn't miss a beat. He's like, so you want to go out of town with me instead? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I packed my bag, and I went out of town with him for 3 days, and it was, divine intervention, if you would, because I kind of fell into a job then that I could do from home, and it was what I needed at that time to just let my mind, just relax, and I could do what I needed to do to get my recovery where I needed it to be at that time. And it was a really good, it was a good thing for me to do. So, but then later on in my recovery, I got the chance to go to peer recovery specialist training. And again, my higher power for me is God. If, I don't know, I'm making this channel to like argue politics or religion with people. So if that offends you, it's just a difference of belief. We don't have to fight about it. If you call it your higher power, that's fine with me. If you don't believe in anything at all, that's fine with me too. But for me, it's God. It always has been God. I know that if not for God, I would not be sitting here today. For a lot of reasons. I can look back on my life now and know that He's been there, and that He has gotten me through a lot, and that He's just, that's my thing. But He put me in the right place at the right time, and I was able to take all the classes that I needed to take. So now I'm a certified peer recovery specialist. Shortly after I got my certification from peer recovery. Well, when we were in our class for our peer recovery specialist training, they came in and they taught us how to administer Narcan, personally. And so we could carry Narcan, which I believe that everybody should carry Narcan, but I also know that there are people that don't understand harm reduction. And then shortly after that, I'd let our instructor know that if a class came up that we could participate in that would teach us how to be a teacher, to go in and teach groups of people how to administer Narcan, that I would be interested in it. So a couple months after I got my certification to be a peer, I'm looking up at the wall because I have my certifications hanging up right there. Um, I got my certification to be an Narcan trainer. So, you know, for somebody that is a felon, that was an active drug addiction for 14 years. I went to high school. I graduated high school. I always got really good grades in high school. I had been to college, but I never got to go to college and like graduate the way that I wanted to. You know, when I was growing up, I had big dreams, and I can tell you right now, it didn't include becoming a junkie. And I'm talking big dreams. Like I wanted to go to the FBI and become a criminal profiler. I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. Like I had big dreams. I did not ever think that I was gonna grow up and be a drug addict. It never crossed my mind. The exact opposite, actually, because of my childhood. So to go through what I've been through with my addiction and to now, like I said earlier, be living the life that I'm living, it just gives me so much pride. For one, I'm very proud of myself, and that is something that I normally do not say. It takes a lot for me to be proud of myself. But I am proud of myself, and that's a big step. That's big growth for me. So I am proud of myself, but it's just so overwhelming, and I'm so grateful for all of it because I know a lot of people that I've watched in active addiction in a recovery, and they think that they, have ruined all their chances to have any semblance of the dreams that they once had, and that's just not true. And I don't want anybody to think that, whether you're in active addiction or not, because it's not just about addiction, and that's not why I'm so vocal about all the things that I go through and all the things that I try to speak up about, because if you want to get like snotty about it and use all the proper terms, I have co-occurring disorders, which just in layman's terms means that I have more than one disorder going on at the same time. So I have a lot of mental health disorders going on, and then I have substance use disorder on top of it, or along with it, however you want to say it. So I'm very passionate about all of this, because just because I can go out into my community and teach people, relaxation techniques and, goofy stuff like that, or I can go out and make donations or volunteer at my local homeless shelter, or, do a Narcan training, or whatever it is, doesn't mean that there are some days when I wake up where I don't want to get out of bed, or, some days where I have to really talk myself into taking a shower and putting on makeup. And, there are some days where those days turn into weeks. And sometimes those weeks turn into a month. And it's a struggle, and it's not always easy. And that's one of the big reasons why I wanted to start making this channel. And it originally kind of started out as, well, maybe I'll make a podcast. And then I had a conversation with my dad and my mom, and there was a little maybe suggestion that they would not be so interested in a podcast. So I thought, you know what, why not just try my hand at both? Because if you're recording one, you can record both. So, getting into YouTube is scary though, because like people can see your face, you can see all my stuff behind me. Like, all these piles of books and stuff on my desk and recording a video, but you know, I don't want to come on here and be disingenuous. I don't want to edit the crap out of my videos and like have a bunch of fucking filters on. Like, this is me, you know, this is my double chin. If my makeup looks crazy, then it looks crazy. If my hair's crazy, then it looks crazy. Yeah, you know, I gained a lot of weight in quarantine. I gained a lot of weight when I got sober, and so, you know, I'm sure there will be people that have comments about that, and it is what it is. Like, I get so many mean comments in my day-to-day life about being in recovery that I really I don't care anymore about the rest of it. But here we are. That's one of the main reasons I'm here. I have a handful of reasons why I wanted to start doing this. I mean, mainly just because there's so much stigma around addiction and mental health and, you know, just all of that in together. And there's so many people out there that are just suffering. And, you know, they're just suffering in silence, and it's needless. And I know that one of the places that I turn to countless times, even before I made the decision to get into recovery and take it serious and, you know, walk this path that I'm on now, I turn to YouTube a lot. And I watch videos on YouTube. I watched videos of people talking about their sobriety on Facebook. And I don't know how to link people yet, but I'll list them off for you because they are fucking phenomenal. I will tell you that the majority of them are women. That's just the way it is. It's not a discrimination thing at all. It's just, you know, the way it is right now. If you're into books, I can give you a crap load of books to read. But right off the top of my head, if you're looking for other, like, women that will make you laugh and make you smile and relate in, like, the same category as we are as far as, like, addiction, mental health struggles, childhood trauma, things like that. Jessica Kent, she's here on YouTube. She's on TikTok, Instagram. Jessica, just like my name, and Kent, K-E-N-T. Look her up on YouTube. She's great. Jen Cutting, she's another one, and she's on all the social media stuff. She's a good one on YouTube. If you're more into Facebook, look up Juggling the Jenkins. Tiffany Jenkins. She's hilarious. She's from out of Florida, and she's great. All of the ladies that I've mentioned struggled with addiction. They all struggle with mental health issues. And all those ladies are, you know, beacons of light in this community that we're in. And they're not afraid to speak up and share their story. And, you know, I want to be one of them because I want to be one of them. I want to be my own person, but there's not enough of them out there. Let me put it that way. There's not enough of them out there because people are so afraid to speak up and say, I used to use drugs. I used to be an alcoholic. You know, I suffer from depression. I have childhood trauma. I have depression. I have PTSD. People are so afraid to say things like that because then other people look at you different and they call you horrible names and they talk about you behind your back. And, you know, people do that on a regular basis because unfortunately people are just shitheads anymore and they don't know how to just be nice to other people. But it doesn't always have to be that way. And I want people to know that if you're suffering, you're not alone. And there are people out there that are just like you. And I'm one of them. I'm gonna do my best to figure out this YouTube thing as quick as I can so I can start providing you guys with a way to get in touch with me, because I have a lot of resources at my fingertips. And if I don't have resources that can benefit you and you reach out to me and you need help, I'm very tenacious, so I will do what I can um, to help you in any way. If you need Narcan sent to you, just get in touch with me. Haven't decided if I want to link all my personal social media accounts yet to this YouTube channel. If not, I'm just going to make new ones, and then I will have them all linked, so they'll be in the description box below. All of that good stuff. I'm trying to wrap it up because I'm going on 25 minutes, so there's so much other stuff. Once I get started, it's hard to get my mouth to shut up. It's just getting me started sometimes. But hopefully soon, I'll get all my ducks in a row. If this video is, wonky, turned a weird way or whatever, I'm recording on my phone because, like I said, I'm not worried about doing all the editing and having a pretty backdrop. If this window back here, because the sun is shining in, is distracting, or whatever, and people watch this other than my daddy and my mama, just let me know. Don't be a shithead about it, but just let me know, and I will try to make it as visually appeasing as possible. But my biggest concern about doing this YouTube channel is just to get the message out there and to raise awareness, and to let people know that they're not alone, especially after 2020 and 2020 rolling into 2021, because a lot of people are concentrated on the pandemic and the virus from last year. And, that's a scary time. That was a scary time and is still a scary time for a lot of people. And, when we started locking the country down here in the States, my first thought, as it always is, typically, is for the addicts and the homeless. Because, well, it sucks for us to be locked down. We're locked down in the comfort of our homes with all of our creature comforts. We have running water, we have electricity, we have a bed to sleep in at night. We watch YouTube and fucking Netflix and Hulu and shit like that. And there's addicts out there that don't have access to food, and they're sleeping out in the snow. And, there's plenty of people who are going to disagree with me, but if you lock everybody up in their fucking house, then that means that addicts can't get to their supplier. And, people die going through shit like that. Just like alcoholics, there are certain alcoholics that just can't quit drinking cold turkey because the withdrawals, the DTs will kill them. You have to, there's certain ways to do this. And, do I wish that everybody that was going through addiction right now could get treatment and stop? Absolutely. Absolutely. And, if I was, somebody that had a big crap ton of money, that's what I would spend all my money on. I'd take care of some family things that we got going on right now. But that's what I would spend my money on, is, getting people that want it and that are ready for it. Help, for their mental health issues and for their recovery and stuff like that. People that are ready for it. And helping the homeless. But we started locking down the country, that terrified me. And thinking of, people that are out there in situations where there's violence going on at home, because that's a scary thought. I'm very grateful that I'm no longer in one of those situations. I'm not in an unhealthy relationship where that is something that I have to worry about anymore by the grace of God. I'm not um, I'm not in one of those situations anymore, but they exist. They're there, and I think that um, even after people stop worrying about the coronavirus, that all of the effects of putting people in isolation, it's going to take a long time to see all the effects of it. All the addicts, all the alcoholics, all the people that suffer from mental health issues, all the people that are or have been stuck at home with their abusers. That's the stuff that makes my heart hurt and makes me very, very scared, because if you look just in your local area, you can probably call and ask at your local hospital, in your emergency room, if they've seen an uptick in overdoses, suicides, suicide attempts, repeat overdoses, accidents at home, because ER nurses aren't stupid. They can tell whether you really ran into that door 7 times or not, or whether you tripped and fell down, Well, Sally, I really don't think you fell down those steps 17 times in the month of May. They know what's going on. Been there. I've been there. I've done it. And I've seen the look on the nurses' faces like, oh, there she comes again. And there he is sitting in the waiting room and she's going to leave with him, And it's easy for them to say, oh, and she's going to leave with him, because they don't know how fucking scary it is to leave, and not leave with him. So that is all the stuff that worries me about the lockdown and the isolation in this realm. I'm worried about a lot of other crap that has to do with this lockdown too, but I'm not going to talk about it on this channel. And that to me was honestly the final push, because I made a donation to my local jail, because they're, when people get brought into our local jail around here, and I'm sure it's the same all over the country, but they're being held, for 14 days in quarantine. Well, they don't, because they're being held in quarantine for 14 days, they don't have access to canteen. So they can't buy shampoo, they can't buy conditioner, they can't buy soap. So they go 14 days without taking a fucking shower. And one of the deputies there was trying to, she was trying to buy all the shampoo and conditioner for the inmates coming in out of her own pocket, and she finally just couldn't do it. So she reached out and was asking, if a few certain people could help her. So someone reached out to me. We got together, a couple of us, and and got her some donations together. And I was talking to her, and I was like, that's just, wow, that's crazy. And I feel like there's a lot of those situations that we are not thinking of. And by we, I mean everybody. Like, we're not thinking of, that we have yet to think of or you see the repercussions of, because of this whole thing going on right now. But I talked to her a lot about addiction and the effects that it has on our community, because like I said, I grew up in a small town. I don't live in that town anymore because I had to move away from it. It was just better for me mentally. I think I probably could have been all right in my recovery and still live there. But mentally, I needed to get away from there. So I did move. Not very far, but sometimes 5, 10, 20 miles makes a big difference. So anyway, But I talk to her frequently about, you know, the kids there, and addiction and drinking, and how it's affecting so many people in our area, because it is such a small town and it is growing. Like, holy cow, it's grown so much that it's crazy. It doesn't even look like the town that it used to be when I was a kid. But we were just talking about it, and you know, I asked her, I said, have you seen a lot more, does it seem like a lot more people are using? Are you seeing a lot more overdoses? Are you seeing a lot more people like be incarcerated since the lockdown? And you know, surprisingly, she said that she didn't really see a lot more people get incarcerated, but they were getting a lot of calls for overdoses and repeat overdoses. A lot of calls for teenage suicides. A lot. Because these kids don't know what to do. You know, they're stuck at home. And we make fun of the kids now always being, you know, stuck on their phones. And that's true, but these kids are also used to being going all the time. You know, they may be going like this, you know, looking down at their phone or their tablet or whatever all the time. But they are definitely not used to being homebodies, these kids nowadays. So, and kids nowadays have a lot of mental health issues and problems, and they're being stuck at home and they don't have access to any of the resources that they had before. And it's really troubling, you know. And a lot of people start using when they're young. And if they don't start using when they're young, then that's when a lot of the problems start. That when you do start using, you're trying to cover up, if you understand what I'm saying. So, yeah, in a long, roundabout way, that's why I'm here. That's why I want to be here. We're going to talk about all kinds of crazy shit on here. Hopefully, this is a lot of fun for everybody. If there's anything that you want to ask, anything that you want to hear from me, please let me know. I am going to try to figure out how to put stuff in the description box, like I said. But for now, just leave me a comment until I can get all this stuff figured out. I'm weary of doing YouTube because it's a big, scary new thing to do. I've never done anything like this before, and you get really vulnerable. And you know, my mom and my dad may be my only 2 subscribers. You never know until you try, but I have quite a few videos that I've recorded and haven't made it to YouTube yet. And I figured, what the fuck, just go ahead and do it and put one up there, and let's just roll with it and see what happens. So this is it. This is what you got for the first, let's roll with it and see what happens. And we'll go from there. I will try, like I said, to get everything updated, get links to social media and all that crap. If you want to, you know, I guess, see me on that. I mean, I really don't do anything on social media. But all of that may change, so I will keep you updated. I'm going to go for now. As far as the uploading schedule goes, that I don't know either, but it's on the list of shit to figure out. So just keep checking back with me. Hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button, because then when I do upload, it will send you something, a little notification. It'll let you know when I do, until I finally get a schedule worked out and start uploading on a regular basis. Thanks for tuning in. You guys stay safe, stay sober. If not, just stay safe.